Hey friends, it's your girl Amber, your favorite realtor. This is going to be my second video talking about doing the 12-week year. If you didn't catch the last video, check it out. Basically, it is September and I started on September 1st and I wanted to do a push for the end of the year, but I also was just feeling really overwhelmed and kind of blah about my work this year, even though I had a good year, but I just didn't have the focus and the excitement, motivation that I really was looking for. So I thought the 12-week year could be the answer. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about making the plan. Here is the book. I will link it below if you want to get yourself a copy. And here is my journal where I've been making all my notes and making my plan. In the last video, I did a brainstorm about working on my core values. I did a wheel of life and I did a 5-year vision. At first, I thought I would narrow it down to 3 goals. One is my primary business goal, which is working with buyers and sellers and investors in real estate. The second goal is working with agents, and I actually really have a desire to grow my organization here at my brokerage and create some passive income and residual income from that, and also just spread the word about our amazing brokerage. And then the third goal was going to be personal, which is health. But I have since decided to cut out the third goal, which was a little bit of a tough decision because obviously health is always a priority for me. But for the 12-week year, I really wanted it to be about business, and a lot of the research that I did said to even pick only one goal to start. So anyway, I decided to cut that from my list. So for my 12-week year plan, I am going to be focusing on 2 goals. They're both business related, both finance related, and the first one is attracting more clients, buyers and sellers, and then the second one is attracting more agents. So the first thing that I did was a brainstorm of all of the different ways that I could work with buyers and sellers. And this was extremely illuminating because my brainstorm, which was all just off the top of my head, I did not do research, other than the fact that I'm kind of always doing research on this topic, but I didn't do anything extra for this planning. And I came up with 2, 3 pages of ways that I could be working with buyers and sellers. This is about 90 items, and this is not even counting the actual work of working with buyers and sellers. This is all lead generation and client follow-up. This explains a lot for me. This explains why I have been feeling overwhelmed. This explains why I have been waking up every morning feeling like I have a million different things in my head and I don't know where to start. I did not realize that this whole list of 90 items was floating around in my head, which really is a good rationale for why we need to always write things down. And I write things down all the time. I'm always keeping journals, but this was the first time in a long time, in a couple of years maybe, that I had done that long brainstorm like that. And none of these things are crazy. And none of these things are like out of the box. These are all very like normal ways of following up with clients. Having a monthly newsletter, having a drip campaign, which is an automation in my CRM, having Facebook ads, sending out holiday cards, doing pop buys, mailing lists to a geofarm, having an online lead magnet for a cash offer. These are all things I've done before. but don't have a good system for. Every time in the past that I have set up any automations in my CRM, I have then moved to a different brokerage and lost those automations. But truth be told, I've never really had great systems in place. So that is my brainstorm for things to be doing to attract and work with more buyers and sellers. And then I also ended up putting a little asterisk next to the ones that I thought were priorities of things I wanted to do after I had done the full brainstorm. And I probably have about 20 or 25, so still a lot of things. Then I did a brainstorm for agent attraction, which was only one page. So about 30 items of ways I could follow up with agents. And I also did have my health brainstorm, which I have since decided to ignore. So that was my first step, doing the brainstorm. Then I actually spent a lot of time trying to figure out how I was going to track and really make up the plan for the 12-week year to start. That was much more challenging than I thought it would be, because I have done this before, even though I didn't really follow through with the implementation. Maybe I never really got to the stage where I had to lay out tracking it week to week, which is bad. But I watched a lot of videos. There are a lot of tools that you can find online, either in the book or the 12-week year. They have a website. They'll send you PDFs for free if you sign up. There's also a lot of tools on Etsy, which I was looking into. There's digital ways to track it. There are PDFs if you want to print it out and do it on paper. But what I did not see a lot of were ways to track using a bullet journal. I've tried doing things digitally and it never has worked for me. I love paper and pen, and I just go to this every day. So this is really the best way I know for myself. And I'm very visual. I like to see it. I like to write it out. There is actually data and research that shows that writing things out by hand is more beneficial than doing it digitally for certain things, of getting things out of your brain so that you can eliminate some of that feeling of overwhelm. And then for setting goals that you're more likely to follow through if you put it on paper. So anyway, that was very challenging for me. I think that there was a little bit of that perfectionism where you're like afraid to make a mistake. So I was afraid to commit to a certain way without it being like the perfect plan and the perfect way. I will show you what I came up with, and you will see a peek into my brain. So this is the overall plan for the 12 weeks. I have goal 1 and goal 2. The goal 1, I wanted to quantify it. They say SMART goals are measurable. So I put 6 new buyers and sellers. But obviously, I don't necessarily have control. I can't make somebody sign a contract. I can't make somebody work with me. So then I have to break it down into what my tactics are to get to that goal. And my main thing that I wanted to start with was creating systems to systematize everything. That's the first thing on my tactic. New seller drip campaign and questionnaire, new buyer drip campaign and questionnaire, monthly newsletter, quarterly seasonal newsletters, tracking system, because like I said, I track everything in paper, which for the long term of keeping track of clients is not good. So I actually do need to set up a digital tracking system for that so that I don't lose them in a notebook 6 months from now. Sending out or keeping track of people's birthdays, which I'm about 70% at, but I want to be 100% for my former clients. And then the other thing that I think I struggled with for figuring out how to track was a lot of times the recommendations. I've done a lot of different trainings and coaching. They always talk about number of people. So, for example, if I were to have 20 conversations every day with different people, it could be buyers, sellers, referrals. It could be through some of these referral partners, like talk to a divorce attorney. It could be messaging through Facebook, whatever. 20 conversations about real estate. This just numerically could lead to a certain number of leads that would then convert to a certain number of appointments and convert to a certain number of actual clients. So that has always been what the recommendation has been. I have always struggled with this. When I do finally connect with somebody, it could be a 20-minute call. If I call somebody back, it could be an hour-long conversation. And I know that's probably not the best strategy if I'm trying to make 20 calls, but I really would prefer to have a 1 hour conversation that is more meaningful than to just feel like I'm checking numbers off of a list. So what I decided to do, and I thought that I would give this a try, is to time block and to track the number of minutes that I spend instead of the number of people that I talk to. On the one hand, that's probably not the best strategy because I might end up only talking to one person instead of 20 people, but it might be the best strategy for me because the other one has not been working for me. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Pomodoro method of breaking time blocks down into 25-minute chunks. And I love doing that. It's really easy for me to sit down and commit to a 25-minute block of time, and I can stay focused. And then you're supposed to take a 5-minute break and then do another block. So I thought that would be a really great way of tracking and to aspire to do a certain number of Pomodoros on working with the buyer and seller leads, and then a certain number of Pomodoros working with agent follow-up. And that would be something that I could commit to and that I could track. So that is how I set up my plan. So let me show you what I came up with. First of all, I will show you my nifty layout here. I actually made this kind of accordion so it folds so that I could see it all at once. This is the plan that I just showed you, and then this is week 1, and then I can random doodle. Where's my week 2? Okay, so this is week 2, so I can actually see them all laid out together at the same time. And then this is my to-do list for the week. So I thought that was a pretty cool way of being able to see the long-term vision of what my goal would be, and then the week of what I'm working on, and then the daily to-do list all at the same time. So that when I make my to-do list, I know what I'm planning towards and always have that in mind. So this is what the week 1 looks like. It says week 1, it has the dates, it has my goal 1 and my goal 2, and then it has my specific tactics that I was going to work on for this week 1. And then here is my tracker. This took me forever to just come up with how I would track this. And I'm really happy with this plan. I think that it's going to be a lot easier to follow. So I have the days of the weeks down here. And then I have, this is follow-up. And then this is drip campaign. My first couple of weeks, I really want to just focus on getting my systems in place. So I'm tracking the Pomodoros of how many Pomodoros I'm going to be following up with clients, how many I'm going to be focusing on working on drip campaigns, and then this in blue is the same thing, but instead of for clients, is for agents. So following up with agents, because I posted an ad on LinkedIn and I had a lot of agents apply to come work with me, and I need to follow up with them. And then I also really want to get to automate the drip campaign to follow up with agents, which I've never done actually and don't have anything that exists. And then I have a video, because that was another goal of mine. It's for the buyer and seller leads. I've been trying to post videos for buyers and sellers, ideally every day. And then at the end here, I can do a percentage. Wait, sorry. Oh, a lot of glare. There. I can do a percentage of how much I feel like I hit my goal. So I think that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I am excited. It already feels less overwhelming to know exactly what my focus is, even though I know I have a lot of other things that are going to come up during the day. And like I said, none of this has to do with actually working with the clients. So this is just going to be my go-to. I wake up in the morning and I have that feeling of like, what am I doing? What am I working on? What am I trying to achieve today? It's all right here. And already I feel better. Already I feel more motivated and feel focused. And I think that focusing on 2 specific goals is definitely the way to go. The first time I tried to do the 12-week year, I had 5 different goals, which was a disaster. And it is kind of crazy and kind of sad, because I'm in an era of my life. I'm an empty nester. Both my kids have graduated college, have their apartments, have moved out. And this was after 25 years of taking care of kids, right? So I have so much free time. I have all the free time in the world to myself. So I don't know why it's so hard to achieve all of these different things. I feel like I should be able to have 20 goals and hit them all, but somehow that's not the reality. I do seem to require a lot of downtime these days, although part of that is probably because my brain just always feels like it's melting with all of these things that I have going on in there. So hopefully this will help solve that problem. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Come back next week to see my video about how implementing the 12-week year goes and whether it actually helps me to achieve my final goal, which is to have more clients and make more money and have more consistent money. All right, thanks for watching. Love you guys.